The sea is calm, the horizon serene. In the blink of an eye, a massive force of landing craft, boats, and helicopters appear on the horizon. At a shocking pace, troops, tanks, and supplies forge a beachhead. An enemy is caught totally by surprise. What makes it possible? New advanced technology that is revolutionizing the forces of the Navy and the Marines with unprecedented speed and cunning. With oceans covering more than 70% of our planet, the Navy remains critical to military success. And like other branches of the armed forces, navies around the world are morphing dramatically to meet the emerging threats of the future. It's a transformation fueled by the new technology of war. New and developing technologies are empowering naval and marine forces to integrate sea operations with land, air, space, and cyberspace to a greater degree than ever before. This synergy is now creating one contiguous battle space. How? Information superiority. More than any future development, technology-based information superiority will set future fighting forces apart, on land, sea, or air.
It's absolutely critical to have what we call knowledge superiority. And the simple way to describe that is that we know more than any of our enemies do about what's going on. And to do that, we have to have obviously better sensors, better intelligence, better methods of communication, better methods of pulling that information together. And so the future is network-centric, satellite communications, distributed decision-making in many cases.
Revolutionary designs, hardware, software, and weaponry all feature dramatic upgrades. And all these new aspects of the Navy will now be linked and networked so that widely dispersed forces can combine capabilities. No longer a collection of independent vessels, the Navy has become an integrated force led by information that can deliver unprecedented offense, defense, and operational naval readiness. The Navy's name for this vision? Sea Power 21. Its goal, smart war from beginning to end. Better information gathering, swifter decision-making at all levels. In short, forward-deployed naval and marine response capabilities previously unimaginable.
Technology and the advancements that we're making, both in our sensors and our weapons and our command and control, will affect the outcome of war in the future like nothing that we've seen before in the past.
In the last 20 years, naval strategy has undergone multiple technology-driven makeovers. From war at open sea, through today's emphasis on littoral or near-shore capability, we're witnessing a totally revised naval strategy. Soon, the Navy will be fully integrated as a global networked strike force against regional or transnational dangers.
Advances in communication technology that allows you, once you process it, to get it to the right communities and then to integrate that in an interoperability sense provides greater access to us in influencing the battle and from a command and control, more rapid decisions, again, which affect the outcome of the battle. The protection of our forces ashore, preparation of the battlefield before we go to war, all of those are very critical, and technology has been the enabling factor that has taken us from where we were in the past to where we are today, with the vision to where we're going to be 10, 15, 20 years from now.
And while all these advances will never tame the sea itself, in the early days of the 21st century, there is nowhere the Navy can't be, no time the Navy can't go, and almost nothing that the Navy can't do. Thanks to Sea Power 21. One overarching operational concept is making all of this possible. ForceNet.
ForceNet, which is a Navy initiative that feeds into the network-centric warfare concept that we're pursuing as part of the joint service, is a tremendous concept that literally allows us to operate as a netted force, utilizing and capitalizing on all the sensors and assets that are available to us. And when you can do that and make decisions from a tactical sense, not based on just what you see with your local sensors, and not just based on the information that you had organic to the ship or the platform that you're dealing with, it just opens up the entire battle space to where every platform and every sensor and every weapon and every sailor can play a significant role in the outcome of the war itself.
Such integrated knowledge will allow advanced naval forces to collaboratively dominate the battle space, wherever it may emerge.
We're specifically talking about the ability to integrate a tactical picture, to be able to communicate effectively and reliably, to have a single integrated air picture, to where if two units or operators on two different platforms are communicating, they see the same target, that target is ID'd the same, and when we send digital information, that it can be received and processed consistent with its intent.
The results of this transformation may be most significant close to shore, in critical regions and battles where the Navy has been at a disadvantage in the past.
Our job is to not only control the seas, but also to make sure that we can deliver the forces and support the forces ashore. Our ability to integrate sensors, integrate communications, integrate command and control gives us greater flexibility on where we can start to impact the things that are occurring.
New technology is changing combat in littoral areas close to shore, with fighting power that will be launched at sea, beyond the visual range of the enemy, and when needed, will be able to come into shore quickly. The Littoral Combat Ship, or LCS, is envisioned as a networked, agile, stealthy surface combatant. This relatively small, high-speed ship will complement a Navy's Aegis, or defensive fleet, by operating in places that larger conventional ships can't access. The LCS will be able to deploy independently to overseas littoral regions. Its shallow draft, mono hull design allows the vessel to achieve sprint speeds of over 40 knots. Equipped with interchangeable mission modules, the LCS will be capable of landing Navy SEALs, Maritime Interdiction Operations Groups, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance teams, as well as anti-terror and force protection units wherever they're needed. The LCS will be a network-centric advanced technology ship that can also launch unmanned vehicles. This unmanned naval combat vehicle, for instance, will be fully networked. It's an ideal solution for anti-terror force protection. The patrol boat and weapon system are remotely operated. It'll be stealthy, fast, and highly maneuverable. An electro-optical system can be used for target identification. It will have a remote-controlled stabilizer gun that packs a punch. Wide-area data from unmanned aerial vehicles can be downlinked for a total networked unmanned force to protect the fleet from terrorist attacks. It can also work autonomously as a sentry, alerting onboard operators to potential threats. It's a perfect partner for use in littoral combat situations. The versatile LCS will even store and launch aircraft and smaller vessels used in nearshore operations. Thanks to ForceNet, the LCS will have a huge advantage over enemies in complex littoral missions, thanks to highly advanced technology and information. Perhaps the biggest news in the transformation of expeditionary naval forces is a projected 12 new San Antonio-class LPD amphibious assault ships. These multi-mission crisis response warships will mix highly mobile air and ground firepower with self-sustainable forces. They will quickly project power, withdraw rapidly, and then reconstitute to redeploy for follow-up missions. These ships will also have a larger well deck to house and launch landing craft air cushion vehicles and other amphibious assault vehicles. The San Antonio's mission is to embark, transport, and land elements of a marine landing force. It's designed for an assault by helicopter or tilt-rotor aircraft, conventional or air cushion landing crafts, and for amphibious or expeditionary fighting vehicles. The Advanced Amphibious Assault Vehicle, or AAAV, is one of the most capable all-around weapon systems in the world. With a cargo capacity of up to 5,000 pounds, or nearly 2,300 kilos, it can travel up to 25 knots in water, and 30 miles, or 48 kilometers per hour on land. It can keep pace with the most agile M1 main battle tank. The Navy's Expeditionary Fighting Vehicle is another amazing example. The EFV is truly the stuff of James Bond movies. It's able to operate as effectively on land as in water. Sea-based and land-based at the same time, it can cruise at 40 knots on water and 40 miles, or nearly 65 kilometers per hour on land. But speed is just for starters.
Frankly, we probably have about 4 almost miracles on this vehicle. This is the first time that a vehicle has been built from the ground up with ceramic armor, or a composite armor that includes ceramics. The real key is that our armor is a significant advancement over traditional monolithic hulled metal type armors. We use a composite system that consists of ceramic as well as a woven fabric material, not unlike Kevlar, that provides spall protection inside the vehicle, and it does so at a significant weight reduction over traditional metal armors. The second is our water jet. This is the most advanced water jet in the world.
The jets not only let the EFV travel above the water, but allow for its amazing speed on the water. The two jets, each about 2 feet or 58 centimeters in diameter, together move almost 100,000 gallons of water every minute. That's enough to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. To lift the EFV up and out of the water as a hydroplane, the jets must deliver nearly 23,000 pounds, or 10,430 kilograms of thrust. Fuel economy is the third miracle.
In fact, we're actually slightly better from a fuel economy standpoint than the current vehicle, despite the fact we're much larger.
The fourth miracle?
This is the only vehicle in the world that's capable of operating in surf zones, launching from an amphibious ship, transiting through the surf zone, and continuing the battle inland. With our speed, then, we could transit across the water. We transition the vehicle into a land vehicle before we come through the surf zone, through the surf, up to an 8-foot plunging surf, and then continue inland to whatever the objective is that the Marines are tasked to attack.
For the first time, hydroplane capability has been built into a vehicle this size. And the increased speed of the EFV changes the very nature of assault and combat. It can stand out beyond the visual horizon. It can even push beyond the radar horizon. The EFV can fight as part of a Navy, Army, Marine joint force, but it principally supports Marine infantry. And because the EFV is so flexible, so are its passengers.
They're the primary weapon system. Those 17 Marines that are embarked in back of this vehicle, which is a reinforced Marine rifle squad, are the primary weapon. It's our mission to deliver them from ships beyond the visual horizon to the beach and then to the inland objective. And once we're ashore, to support them by fire as they maneuver against whatever the threat happens to be.
What miracles might future technologies hold for such an adaptable, open architecture vehicle?
In the future, the potential exists for active protection systems, things that could be deployed along the vehicle that could sense an incoming round like a rocket propelled grenade and either launch something to shoot it down or deploy some sort of a protective system that would mitigate the effects of that round. For the Marines of the future who fight from the expeditionary fighting vehicle, there are 5 mission essential functions of the vehicle: shoot, move, communicate, carry, and protect. In each of those areas, the advancements of this vehicle will provide a better capability to the Marines as they fight.
D-Day, June 6, 1944. The greatest armada of war-making appears at the edge of the horizon. It's a sea-based invasion that will turn the tide of World War II. Based from England, thousands of Allied troops will die on the beaches of Normandy, cut down as they storm pre-planned landing sites. Armed with guts and bravery, they ultimately prevail, but at great cost. But in the 21st century, the next D-Day, if there ever is one, will look very different.
If you were to describe a notional amphibious assault with the current vehicle, we would have to, ahead of time, pick the landing beach, drive the amphibious ships to within about 4,000 to 6,000 yards of that beach, disembark the AAVs, swim to the beach. That would take about an hour at their current speed, transit to the surf zone, and then fight inland.
Using speed and a wide array of data at hand, advanced amphibious assault vehicle technology will turn tomorrow's tide.
If you take the AAV, and if we stood off 15 miles from the beach, and you drew a straight line to the coast, and considered that in that same 1 hour we could travel 25 nautical miles, so you made those the hypotenuse of a triangle, we now hazard 40 miles of coastline with that same 1 hour transit time.
With that much coastline available for an assault, it would be a different kind of D-Day.
So by launching and knowing that we have 25 nautical miles to swim, we could choose to land anywhere within that 40 miles depending on where the enemy was. The enemy now is placed on the horns of a dilemma. He has to choose where in that 40-mile sector he's going to defend. And if he picks the wrong place, we maneuver away from it because of our overhead systems, intelligence systems. On the fly, we could receive input where the enemy is and then navigate to an alternate landing position.
Confronted by this 21st century surprise attack, the enemy faces a huge predicament.
Well, first of all, he could choose to defend everywhere, but as Sun Tzu taught us, he who defends everywhere defends nowhere, because now he'd be too thin, we could punch through. So if he picks a particular point, we maneuver away from that point. If he decides to attempt to outflank us, he now places himself at risk from air-delivered fires. And as we've seen in recent conflict, air-delivered fires are extremely accurate and hazardous for their health. So now we've avoided his major defenses, we've maneuvered to a position of advantage inland, and then we've continued to whatever the objective is that we ultimately hope to seize. So it's a much more robust way of conducting conflict, at the same time providing a level of protection for the amphibious ships that delivered us into the amphibious operations area.
Technology is also transforming the way the Navy aligns itself for battle. New strike groups, or combinations of resources, will be created to respond to situations around the world as they develop.
I think what you're seeing is a growth from really autonomous ship operations where you interface with tactical data links to other platforms, to really battle group operations where you are integrated from a battle force, battle group point of view, to where what you see now is integration with joint forces, to where you have the Patriot batteries ashore, you have the Army and the Marine Corps that are making advances with the troops ashore, and we're able to affect that. We're able to, through things such as the Naval Fire Control System, some of the advanced comm work and integration of comm work that we have, to bring something from the sea that traditionally just simply hadn't been there.
The Expeditionary Strike Group is a departure from the typical carrier battle group or amphibious ready group structure. An expeditionary strike group might include amphibious ships, a destroyer, cruiser, frigate, attack submarine, and a P-3C Orion land-based aircraft. The new mix allows Navy and Marine Corps forces to launch Marines and landing craft, while warships and submarines strike inland targets with missiles and shells. The Carrier Strike Group remains the core of a Navy's warfighting strength. It's a team of ships deployed together as a unit. The team typically consists of an aircraft carrier with about 80 aircraft, 2 guided missile cruisers, 2 destroyers, a frigate, 2 attack submarines, and supply and fuel ships. An admiral commands this unit, usually from the carrier's flag bridge. Packed with a full complement of operational capabilities, no other force package comes close to matching the sustained power projection, extended situational awareness, and combat survivability of the group. Aircraft carriers form the centerpiece of today's global forward naval presence, deterrence, crisis response, and warfighting. The Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carriers are the largest, most modern warships in the world. In times of crisis, they operate as the cornerstone of joint Allied maritime expeditionary forces. And in an era of advanced technology, this fleet is more prepared than ever. Critical to deterring and winning future conflicts is the Missile Defense Group. This will serve as an independent crisis response force, relying on the precision attack capability of the Tomahawk missile. Surface action groups will also give power to the Navy strike force. Their greater goal will be to provide added security to allies and joint forces on shore. Underwater, specially modified Trident submarines will contribute covert striking power from cruise missiles and the insertion of special operations forces. To support this strike group concept, new warships and jet fighters are being developed and deployed with advanced technologies to ensure Navy superiority. In the next decade, a new class of aircraft carrier, the CVN-21, will replace the Nimitz class. These new carriers are being restructured to house as much new technology as possible. These include new propulsion plants, electric catapults, reduced manning, improved survivability, and more efficient flight operations. With 3 times the electrical generation capacity of a Nimitz-class carrier, the CVN-21 will boast electromagnetic aircraft launching systems, advanced arresting gear, and a new integrated warfare system. But what future technology will be found on the decks of this new class of aircraft carrier? Enter the F-35. Designed as a joint strike fighter, the F-35 will be flown by the U.S. Air Force, Navy and Marine Corps, along with the Royal Navy and Air Force of the UK. The F-35 will replace the F-A-18 and the Harrier as the Navy's weapon of choice in the air. In fact, each branch of the armed services has modified the F-35 to serve its own needs for the 21st century. The Navy version has larger wing and tail control surfaces to make low-speed approaches onto aircraft carriers easier. The Marine version has short takeoff and vertical landing capability, known as STOVL. In this version, the Pratt & Whitney engine produces a cool airlift force, allowing the F-35 to hover. It then can morph into standard fighter mode and travel at supersonic speeds. Or it can also do the reverse, speed to battle quickly, and then land in places other planes couldn't. Unlike the Harrier it's replacing, the F-35 has an advanced stealthy design that makes it virtually invisible to radar. All have an advanced avionics suite and an improved payload, ensuring its dominance as a strike fighter for decades to come. The first destroyer was built more than 100 years ago. Called a torpedo ship destroyer, its goal was to eliminate deadly enemy ships. A century later, the mission is the same. Today's destroyer class, the Arleigh Burke, is considered the most advanced warship in the world. Along with a vertical launching system, advanced anti-submarine warfare capabilities, advanced anti-aircraft missiles, and Tomahawk cruise missiles, the Arleigh Burke is a total state-of-the-art destroyer. So how can you possibly improve on the Arleigh Burke class? The answer: the next generation DDG-1000 Navy destroyer, formerly known as the DDX, now being readied for battles of the future. The DDG-1000 will be nothing less than a revolution at sea.
From a command and control point of view, Aegis cruisers are a mainstay in the surface fleet and in battle group operations. However, we're transitioning now into the next generation, and with DDX, which will bring something called total ship computing environment and integrate communications from really a broad range of assets that we have available to us. We'll continue the legacy of new ships bringing tremendous command and control capability to the battle group and now to the battle force.
Perhaps most arresting about the DDG-1000 is its low-to-the-water, wave-piercing, tumble-home hull form. Sloping inward above the water, this design actually reduces resistance from waves and the heavy rocking that can affect radar identification. An all-electric drive will eliminate drive shaft gears and reduce the acoustic signature. It makes the DDG-1000 far less trackable by the enemy. Running silent, not deep, this new destroyer will be quieter than a submarine. Among its onboard technological breakthroughs, the ANSPY 3 multifunction radar will take the place of 5 separate radar systems and be able to detect even the most advanced, low-observable anti-ship cruise missiles. Plus, there's a new gun system that is truly unique.
We have an advanced gun that's going to be delivered on the DDX, which will provide a significant increase in range and performance and effectiveness, so that we can not only with cruise missiles, we can with advanced guns affect the outcome of land battle.
That advanced gun system will be able to strike at targets from up to 100 miles or 160 kilometers away. The guns are housed in stealthy enclosures, which are opened for attack. The automatic gun system eliminates the need for personnel in the gun and ammunition magazine. The shells are loaded in magazines that electronically roll in and out as new ammunition is needed. The gun system can fire up to 220 rounds per minute, with tilt correction and highly sensitive radar for pinpoint accuracy. But the Navy isn't stopping there. Now in development, ultra-futuristic weapons, which will soon take their place alongside the DDG-1000's bold array of missiles and conventional weaponry. These new high-technology weapons include free electron lasers to shoot down enemy missiles with photons traveling at the speed of light, high-powered microwaves to burn out enemy electronic systems, the way lightning can destroy home appliances. And electromagnetic railguns, which can accelerate bullets to over 20,000 kilometers or 12,500 miles per hour in just a split second. If destroyers are the spears, then cruisers are the tip of the spear, the first ships on the scene during battle, supporting carriers, amphibious forces, or operating independently. The Navy's Ticonderoga-class cruisers rely on the Aegis missile system for defense. Typically smaller than destroyers, cruisers are no less lethal. Onboard vertical launch systems enable the deployment of Tomahawk long-range precision strike cruise missiles. Together with Aegis, these powerful weapons make the Ticonderoga one of the most combat-capable surface warships at sea today. But a new ship aimed at replacing the Ticonderoga is on the horizon. A ship that will make the tip of the spear even sharper. Currently in the design phase, they're known as CGX cruisers. The CGX will provide an umbrella of air and missile defense with longer-range missiles, protecting carrier strike groups and other vessels. Their larger, faster, and longer-range missiles will be able to counter air threats hundreds of miles inland with pinpoint accuracy. It's estimated that the CGX will be deployed by the year 2017. The current Aegis weapon system dates back 4 decades to an early predecessor called the Advanced Surface Missile System. Compared to the unreliable missile defenses of the past, the new Aegis system is light years ahead. It can track more than 100 targets simultaneously, including aircraft, submarines, ships, land targets, and incoming missiles. Aegis can provide forces with an overview of the total battlefield with integrated command and control capability, thanks to the high technology Spy-1D radar system that makes it all possible. While today's Aegis defense is remarkable, the Navy has already begun development of an advanced Aegis system. But the Aegis system alone won't be a fail-safe defensive solution. In the past 20 years, the Navy has seen its communications abilities outstripped by the sheer volume of available information. The question became, how do you speed things up with technology, but still keep humans involved? The solution, something called human systems integration, made possible by advances in technology. It allows each person to actually be a part of the system.
There's so much information that it's really unrealistic to have a person gather all that information, sort through it, prioritize it, and pull it together all by themselves. So today we need to focus on what are the real needs of the decision makers within our systems. And once we understand what those needs are, then what type of information do we need in order to solve those issues? And then have the hardware and software designed to gather that, sort that, and provide it to the person in an easy to understand, easy to access and control method so that they can make those decisions appropriately.
Integrated Command Environment, or ICE, is also known as C4I, for Command, Control, Communications, Computers, and Intelligence. It's the information management architecture for putting all the naval technological change into action. In other words, it's how the Navy makes sense of it all. Command environments require correlating and sorting diverse data, then organizing the data into a context that the operator can act upon. Critical battlespace information, simplified and streamlined, will shape future conflicts and provide a clear advantage. Workstations must fuse data instantaneously. That way, seamless communications can be achieved by organizing electronic information from many sources. The result, boldly going where the Navy has not gone before. A command center with less crew and more senior leaders.
If you look at the DDX ship and you compare that to a traditional cruiser or destroyer, a significant reduction in manpower. So here you have a ship that's going to be operational in the next 10 years that will have significant advancements in warfighting capability, significant advancements in technology and what this ship can bring to the battle, with significantly less men and women required to operate it. And that, in order to do that, there's a great deal of automation that's required and a great deal of trying to integrate the operator and the system together so that when they see something on a display or they take actions to affect something in battle, that they can do it with confidence and they can do it in a timely manner.
Making better decisions that will impact a battle's outcome and forces on shore is what it's all about. So inefficiency had to go.
If you were in a combat information center, a CIC aboard an Aegis-class cruiser, you would strictly be doing combat systems. You would man up with, in a pretty active event, about 38 people. Here, we're doing not only command and control, we're doing engineering control, navigation, damage control. If you took a hit, we would be dealing with those issues. We're doing all of those.
The concept is simple. Do more with less. And the logic is basic.
We did a comparison between doing air defense warfare on an Aegis ship and doing air defense warfare using these technologies in a reduced environment. We were able to reduce the manning by half and actually improve the performance. It decreases your communications, obviously, with less people, and so it's much easier for the team to have a common mental awareness of the situation that's happening and to function effectively without a lot of extra communications.
Such new technologies are helping to define the Navy of the 21st century.
We use both 2D and 3D visual technologies because depending on what task you're doing, one is more effective than the other and vice versa. We use 3D audio as well. We use things like wireless communications, which are very, very helpful, and wireless sensors, which bring us the information. There are other things that we use, such as eye trackers, such as different methods of alerting. Alerts can be sound alerts, or they can be visual alerts. They can even be haptic alerts. For example, you may wear a uniform that will give you a kick in the side when something's happening, or if you're a pilot, for example, if a weapon is coming at you from a particular direction, you can feel that. Well, a person perceives that much more quickly than by reading something.
In the near future, the integrated command environment will help commanders make critical decisions quickly and accurately.
Captain Comms, I've just surfaced a report that indicates an enemy Ming-class submarine may be operating somewhere in the littorals. It departed the port of Bacall around noon yesterday, still unlocated. I forwarded details to all the watch stations.
Roger, thanks. Got it.
Command, land. SAC has requested immediate fire support. NFCS has computed and generated the firing plan. Ships are in position, sir. SAC concurs with firing plans. Summary details are on display on screen 5, sir. Round selection, HE Ergom. Time of flight, approximately 90 seconds.
Okay, very well. Land, Captain. What's our rate of fire and mount recommendation?
Sir, our rate of fire is 15 rounds per minute for a total of 7 minutes. Fire will be divided equally between forward and aft mount.
Go ahead and bring the deconfliction display up on LSD 5.
Aye, sir. Deconfliction on screen 5. This is the ballistic projection and switching to the Ergom trajectory.
It looks like those Ospreys should be clear of the danger area. Yes, sir. Air Captain, make sure we have positive comms with those MB-22s and they know what the plan is. All right, Land Captain, how are preps coming for that fire mission?
What we're adding is an ability to, at a glance, understand the information that we do have available, so that we're not opening windows and parsing through systems and flipping knobs and doing voice communications to get the information. At a glance, we're presenting it to a person in a way that's easy to understand. You can use the software to present to the person what the logical solution is, but because people usually have more information than we can program into the software, it's important when we present the information or the recommendation from the software that we also have the backup information clearly presented that says, these are the reasons that I voted, for example, that this is a hostile, but this is the disconfirmatory information. And so the person then can assess both the recommendation of the software and the things that go against that and make a better decision based upon that.
Sea battles are often won or lost beneath the surface of the ocean. Under the waves is where you'll find some of the world's most sophisticated and secretive battle technology in Navy submarines. In the mid-1980s, the Seawolf submarine class was born. Its goal was to ensure United States submarine superiority over vessels of the former Soviet Union. Today, the Seawolf remains modern and highly effective for the Navy. The submarine features 8-tube double-deck torpedo rooms to simultaneously engage multiple threats. And the Seawolf has the highest tactical speed of any U.S. submarine, 25 knots. Its propulsion system makes it 70 times quieter than the first-generation Los Angeles-class subs it replaced over 20 years ago. But the next class of higher technology submarines is just around the corner. Is a submarine really a sub if it doesn't have a periscope? The answer is yes, according to the new Virginia-class attack submarine, the first without a conventional periscope. The Virginia-class makes up for this small shortcoming thanks to highly advanced information-gathering capabilities. This class of sub is expected to be crucial to the military's emerging concept of network-centric warfare. It'll be equipped with state-of-the-art combat systems that are fully linked to external targeting and intelligence grids. In fact, this new attack sub is the first United States submarine designed for what the Navy calls battle space dominance across a broad spectrum of regional and land-based missions, as well as open ocean. In other words, the Virginia will rule. The Virginia will deploy covert electronic and acoustic sensors for continuous monitoring of the regional battle space, including enemy electronic signals, communication links, and local tactical situations. But the most radical change in the Virginia sensor suite will be in the control room. The electromagnetic and electro-optic suite will include 2 photonics mass high-resolution color cameras. This means the officer of the deck will never again hang onto a periscope, peering through a maze of mirrors. The Virginia's cameras will send visual images to large screen displays in the ship's control room. Of course, to carry out missions, Virginia will pack the most advanced heavyweight torpedoes, mines, and Tomahawk cruise missiles. And it will bring to bear even more precious cargo. Under cover of darkness, blackened figures emerge from the shallow water. Outfitted with specialized weaponry, a stealthy elite force is already behind enemy lines. Their mission could be one of several: search and rescue, directing airstrikes, intelligence gathering, infiltration, or sabotage. How did they get there? Submarines have long been used for special operations, transporting commando and reconnaissance teams, and most often, specially trained SEALs, sea, air, land teams, on high-risk missions. While such forces can also be inserted by air or surface ships, submarines nearly guarantee covert delivery. While any U.S. submarine can deploy SEALs, specially modified subs offer the best transport for these swimmers and their equipment. Today, a new Advanced SEAL Delivery System, or ASDS, is in development. This mini-sub, designed for long-range operations, will further reduce the risk to Navy SEALs through improved design and technologies. 6 modified Los Angeles-class boats and all Virginia-class subs can carry the ASDS, which will feature a dry chamber for up to 16 SEALs. The result: the ASDS will deliver teams better rested, better equipped, and better able to execute missions, whatever they may be. To make sure all the new advanced systems actually perform, the Navy puts them to the test in highly realistic offline battlespace laboratory testing they call distributed engineering.
Distributed engineering plan is basically an architecture that leverages from the fact that there are existing sites and facilities around the country that were built specifically for the development, integration, and testing of combat systems that go aboard Navy platforms, both large deck and airborne platforms, as well as cruisers and destroyers.
By integrating all the systems together through distributed engineering, performance can be checked and analyzed in real time, but without real lives at stake.
And what we do within the distributed engineering plan is connect up these hardware-in-the-loop sites via secure ATM connectivity and are able to link them together in a synthetic battle space so that we can test the combat systems from an interoperability standpoint before they're deployed.
From radar to weaponry, onshore and off, every possible scenario is considered.
We have simulators that we connect up via the network, and we have scenario drivers that we can use to simulate the battle space, both Blue Force and Red Force entities. And then we can run a scenario for like a real live application for what these combat systems and how they would interact in a theater of operations.
How will these complicated systems react to waves of data and intelligence? Simulated runs of various complex scenarios have proven quite valuable in confirming the system can do its job.
The main key to it is that we have a repeatable environment. If you had to do this testing live, it would be much more expensive. You wouldn't be able to replicate on a consistent basis the scenario over and over again to be able to look at specific functions or test the interoperability of the systems.
The goal? To get different services and varied technologies and capabilities working together successfully.
The Navy and the other services as well have a real big challenge when they have a number of very complex systems that they have to deploy on a lot of different platforms. And they need to be able to work together as a combined force. And it's difficult to do that type of testing.
Of course, the only place to really see how things are interoperating is on the battlefield. But this is the next best thing.
This environment provides us a unique ability to do that shore-based during the development process, as well as looking at new technologies. If we have a new technology that's coming along, for example, sensor netting capabilities, we can bring that into the distributed engineering plant, test that with some of the legacy baselines that are out there to determine how is it going to improve the capabilities.
When aerial reconnaissance is called for, unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, give the Navy and Marines mission-critical, long-range situational awareness, as well as precision targeting support. The most exciting UAV for naval purposes? The new RQ-8A Fire Scout. It's an unmanned vertical takeoff and landing tactical system. Outfitted with a day-night passive imagery sensor and a laser designator, it can provide coverage of targets up to 200 kilometers or 125 miles from its launch site. Whatever the battlefield, wherever the threat, information provided by new technology is the key to success in uncertain encounters faced by today's armed forces. In the future, high-tech unmanned aerial vehicles will be launched from the decks of aircraft carriers alongside F-35 Navy fighters as a unified package of air support for troops and the fleet. The nature of battle is changing, on land and at sea, and Navy sea power is using all available technology for an increased advantage.
The continuing exploration that we do in the science and technology community and the maturity of that technology really is going to be a significant player in the revolution that you kind of see the front end today that will transpire in the future.
It's a transformation that will continue. 21st century technology for winning at war and keeping the peace.